Hello and welcome to this BartenderHQ.com podcast from Wolverhampton. I'm in a hotel room right now. I'm on a bit of a training day, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of an insight into what's happened this week. So I have been down to London on Monday to take part in my first ever mixology competition. So stay tuned. I'll tell you a little bit about what was going on.
Welcome to the BartenderHQ.com podcast. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at BartenderHQ. Here's your host, David Eden-Sangwell.
So, as you are probably aware, I'm not a massive mixology guy. I'm interested in it all, and it is the sort of thing that really fascinates me. But I've never really got into the competition stuff. The bars that I've worked in, pretty much all the way through, have not had the enormous ranges that, say, a craft bar somewhere like the Bureau in Birmingham, or like your employees only, and that kind of place. It's not the places that have all those kind of craft spirits. Obviously working in a nightclub at the moment, and so the vast majority of the drinks that I have to hand behind the bar, the vast majority of the bottles, are the kind of things that you would expect to find in any bar. So things like your Jack Daniel's Honey, Southern Comforts, your spiced rums, regular rums, vodkas, but nothing too crazy. I mean, I think the most out there thing I think we've got behind the bar is probably the Laughlin single malt we've got on the back bar. Everything else is pretty standard. I mean, we've got some really nice drinks, don't get me wrong. You know, we're pouring Ciroc. We've got, your Tanqueray 10s, and you've got all that kind of thing. But what we haven't got is things like a lot of vermouths and a lot of the other kind of crazy drinks that are really interesting to mix. So it's been really difficult for me to get into the kind of mixology side of things, especially when it comes to competitions, and you need to be pretty creative with the kind of drinks that you're putting together. But there's also things like my good friend Sam Bolton, who is back in Birmingham now. He's worked at a couple of bars. If you remember, I did an episode about Suds and Duds, which is a speakeasy in Birmingham. He was the head bartender there. He's now moved over to the Bureau, but he's also a brand sales guy, sales development manager, I think it is, for Emporia Spirits, and this is the company that I've just taken part in my first competition for. So I headed down to London. We went to 68 in Boston, in Soho, and the competition was for two of the Emporia brands. So we were mixing Suze and Byrrh. So Suze is a gentian spirit, a gentian liqueur from France. It's 20% ABV, and if you've never tried it before, because it's not enormous outside of France, it's very, very popular in France. But if you've not tried it before, I would guess one of the closest things you could probably compare it to that's very mainstream is like a Campari. It's got that bitterness to it and the dryness in the kind of mouthfeel that you get with it. And then the other one is the Byrrh, which is a wine-based liqueur, kind of like a vermouth, kind of like a less sweet tasting, slow gin as well. To me, it's got those kind of notes to it. So there's some really interesting stuff to be playing with, and we needed to create a signature serve and a full-on kind of more technical cocktail, which was a twist on a classic. Now the judges were from some very nice bars in London, including the Savoy, which obviously is world famous for the Savoy cocktail book. And it was a really, really good event. There was a whole bunch of bartenders down there, some great drinks. It was kind of open. I feel like some of the mixology competitions have a way of kind of segregating people out and not wanting to have much of an audience and just presenting the drinks purely to the judges. But this was not like that at all. It was very kind of social. Everyone was encouraging everyone else. I want to thank the other two guys that actually came down from Birmingham. So that's James and Soph. James from the Edgbaston Hotel in Birmingham, and Soph is at 42 St Paul's, which is a gin bar, and she's a big gin fan, she was telling everyone. But yeah, we had a really good time. So I created a couple of drinks. The first one was a simple serve. So I took 30ml of the Suze, mixed that with some fresh rosemary, gave that a good shake together in the mixing tin with a little bit of simple syrup as well, and then topped that with just a sparkling water and a nice sprig of rosemary, and just served that on a large rock of ice. So that was my first drink, and it's quite subtle that way. It doesn't have that that kind of bite to it that the Suze has. As you'll probably know with a lot of the French liqueurs, like your Pernod, your Ricards, it's a very different taste that people in France seem to have when it comes to these kind of drinks. So it's a little bit interesting. It's perhaps a little bit jarring for the majority of like regular palates, in the same way that a Negroni is. A Negroni is one of those drinks that nobody loves their first one, but it's a drink that you kind of fall in love with over time, and I certainly have done. So that was quite interesting. So that was kind of a subtle kind of introduction to the Suze brand for people. And then my more complex technical drink, which I called the Suze Sour. Obviously a twist on the classic sour recipe, was 50ml of the beer, 12.5ml of Suze, a little bit of sugar syrup, a little bit of fresh lemon juice, Angostura bitters, and then we also shook that hard with a little bit of egg white as well. Poured it into martini glasses. It was going to be in a coupe glass, but I couldn't get hold of any nice ones that I could use because I didn't get a huge amount of notice for the event. And then from there we expressed a little bit of grapefruit oil over the surface of the drink, because this was mentioned, I think, on Brian Webber's podcast on the bartender journey, that sometimes you get that kind of eggy smell, the aroma to those drinks, and if you just express a little bit of citrus over the top, then that really helps. So I used a little bit of grapefruit rind over the top, and also a few drops of Bitter Truth Creole bitters as well. So it worked out really, really nicely. Sam gave me a little bit of advice beforehand, because obviously it's my first event. I wanted to not, stand out. To be honest, I had no pretense that I was in the running to win this thing, but I wanted to go down there and not embarrass myself, and I think I did pretty well. I think it went over well. My presentation in terms of my knowledge of the brands, not really up to speed, but as I say, I had a very short notice for actually getting into this final, and as a result, I hadn't had really much time to look into the brand's backgrounds. I'd had a bit to look over on the train on the way down, but to actually put a really good presentation together to the standard that these other bartenders were doing was a little bit impractical for me, but I was still quite happy with what I did. Now, if you're looking to enter any mixology competitions, I highly recommend that you go over to the guys at A Bar Above, the guys that do the Mixology Talk podcast, and they have a free kind of ebook, e-pamphlet. It's quite a small ebook about how to win cocktail competitions, and it goes through a lot of stuff, and the very basics of things like thinking about who your judges are, making sure that you use brands that are all relevant together and from the same supplier as well, and not using competitors' brands and things like that. There's a whole bunch of information on there, but if you really want to deep dive into this, I cannot recommend highly enough. They also have a cocktail design course, so they have a couple of courses on their site. You can find them if you go to the sidebar of BartenderHQ, and there's a link there which will take you through to their site, and then I get a little kickback, a little thank you for sending you over. So that all helps to keep BartenderHQ running and encourages me to get these podcasts out a little bit more regularly, which we are going to be doing. And I just wanted to kind of share with you a little bit of the experience. So first of all, I want to thank all of the bartenders and the guys there from Emporia Brands, Gavin and his team, for making us all feel so welcome. I want to thank James as well from the Edgbaston. He bumped into me on the train on the way down there, and was so kind to me. We were chatting on the train all about our experiences and what he was going to do with his drinks, and the guys at the Edgbaston are extremely knowledgeable bartenders, I have to say. I haven't spent enough time there. The only time I've actually been was for the Toast of Paris Courvoisier tasting event that they held, and the Edgbaston guys were kind enough to host that. So that was really, really fun, and I'm definitely going to get down and sit at James's bar very, very soon and try out some of the drinks that they do there, because I know they've got a fantastic menu that I have not as yet had a chance to go and sample. Preparation is key to these events, it really is, and obviously you have to take the vast majority of your ingredients down with you. You need to make sure that you've got every ingredient that is basically not one of the sponsors' liqueurs. So for this event I had to take my eggs, I had to take my lemons. I mean, I could probably have got all these things at the venue, but you never actually know until you get there what's going to be available and what's not. Also, travelling with glassware, make sure it's wrapped up very well. Try not to slice your own thumb open when you're opening up your new knife. That's a good tip, because it's really painful when you slice your thumb open. And yeah, but the main takeaway from this is get started. Go and join in with these things. Enter any competitions that you can find online, and you're going to have an amazing time. It's a brilliant way to meet other bartenders in the industry. It's a brilliant way to get your name known with some of these brands. It's a great place to meet some of the brand ambassadors, and I mean, you can ask for samples if you want to try different things for your bar. If it's stuff that you want to roll out, they'll work with you. They'll run masterclasses. They'll come to your bar and they'll talk, because they love these products and they want more people to know about them. And things like Suze and Byrrh are fantastic products. They're not in enough bars at the moment. They're certainly gaining ground, and the craft cocktail movement that's actually happening in the world today, across the world, is absolutely superb, and it's so refreshing to see that people are going for more flavoursome drinks rather than maybe what we've been doing in the past with things like the Sex on the Beaches and the really kind of generic cocktails that were, they're your party classics, but there are definitely better drinks out there to try. Now, on the subject of this craft cocktail movement that's spreading across the globe, I have to mention that Employees Only in New York, where I went to see Steve Schneider working, no longer has Steve Schneider behind the bar, because he is working on projects with Employees Only to open up additional bars. So I believe Singapore is probably first on their list, but then they're also opening more bars in Austin and Miami, I believe, is the other one. So congratulations to Steve and the team over at Employees Only. In other new openings news, I'm very much looking forward to the fact that Birmingham is getting its first Be At One bar very soon. Now, these bars, if you are not aware, started off a long time ago. They were opened by 3 Fridays bartenders using car loans to actually finance the opening and the initial stock for the bars. So it's a kind of party place. They don't do any food. It's all about the drinks, and I think they have a lot of flair bartenders going on there as well. It's opposite New Street Station in Birmingham, which is the kind of new hub, and behind where our new Apple store is going to be, in a very cool old building. So very much looking forward to that. It's going to be a cellar bar, so check out that one as soon as we get in there. The only other thing I think that Birmingham's got coming up that I'm fully aware of is, we've got the Bartender Ultimate Monkey Shoulder Bartender Challenge coming up. That's on next Tuesday, I think, and I've entered that one as well. Just give that one a go. And we've also got the Cause Ice Bar coming to Birmingham. So I've booked my tickets for the first day for that one around about lunchtime. So we'll get in there and we will have a look at it. We'll see what's going on, and we will let you know exactly what is going on there. That's all I'm going to do for this week, guys. So join us on next week's show. We've got more news coming soon about the Central Flair series and its return, and so check that out. And I'll I'll see you guys next time on the BartenderHQ.com podcast. My name is David Eden-Sangwell. If you like this video, click like. If you disliked it, click dislike. Let me know in the comments if there's something else you want me to talk about. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already so that you will get notified every time we release something new.